On May 31, 1984, 6 death row inmates at Virginia's Mecklenburg Correctional Center executed one of the most audacious prison escapes in U.S. history. It was a breakout so cunning, calculated, and brazen that it left authorities stunned and exposed significant security flaws in a facility once deemed escape-proof. The escapees were men convicted of horrific crimes awaiting execution, yet their meticulous plan enabled them to breach what was supposed to be the most secure part of the prison system. This story delves into the planning, execution, and aftermath of the escape, highlighting the flaws that made it possible and the manhunt that eventually brought these men back to justice. Mecklenburg Correctional Center, a fortress for the worst. Located in Boydton, Virginia, Mecklenburg Correctional Center was built in 1977 and quickly gained a reputation as one of the most secure facilities in the country. It was specifically designed to house the state's death row inmates, those convicted of the most heinous crimes and awaiting execution. Its construction followed modern principles of high-security confinement, with multiple layers of reinforced doors, surveillance systems, and highly trained staff. By 1984, the facility housed 16 death row inmates, including the notorious Briley brothers, Linwood and James, whose violent crimes had terrorized Richmond, Virginia. The inmates on death row were deemed so dangerous that they were kept in a separate wing with heightened security, isolated from the general prison population. Yet, it was within this fortress that 6 men orchestrated a plan to escape, a feat no one believed possible. The Briley brothers. Linwood and James Briley were missed for their involvement in a series of murders in Richmond during the late 1970s. The brothers, along with a younger sibling, committed crimes marked by extreme violence and lack of remorse. Their victims were chosen at random, making their spree all the more terrifying. Linwood Briley, the elder brother, was a cold and calculating leader. James Briley was equally ruthless. His loyalty to Linwood driving his participation in their gruesome crimes. Lem Tuggle was convicted of raping and murdering a woman he had met just hours earlier. He had previously been incarcerated for killing a teenage girl, making him one of the most dangerous men on death row. Earl Clanton was convicted of murdering a woman in her home. His cold demeanor and violent tendencies made him a feared figure among inmates. Willie Jones was another death row inmate serving time for a brutal murder. While less notorious than the Brileys or Tuggle, he was equally determined to escape. Derek Peterson was convicted of killing a man during a robbery. He was one of the younger members of the escape group, but no less committed to the plan. Together, these 6 men formed a pact, united by their desire to avoid execution and a shared belief that Mecklenburg's escape-proof status was a myth waiting to be disproved. The escape was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but the result of months of careful planning. The inmates studied the prison's routines, memorized guard schedules, and identified weak points in the facility's security protocols. They noticed inconsistencies in how doors were secured and how guards communicated during shifts, exploiting lapses in discipline and protocol. Key elements of their plan included: 1. The bathroom hideout. Earl Clanton hid in a bathroom near the death row block, evading detection as inmates returned to their cells after recreation. 2. Seizing the control room. Clanton overpowered a guard who had inadvertently left the control room door open, taking control of the keys and unlocking other cells. 3. Homemade weapons. The inmates armed themselves with shanks and other makeshift weapons, prepared to overpower any guards who intervened. The escapees knew they had to act quickly and decisively to avoid being discovered. Their plan relied on creating confusion and leveraging the element of surprise. The escape began around 8 p.m., as death row inmates were returning from recreation. Clanton made his move, slipping into the control room unnoticed. Once inside, he subdued the guard and opened the cells of his co-conspirators. Armed with their homemade weapons, the 6 men quickly subdued additional guards, tying them up and locking them in cells. To escape the facility, the inmates devised a ruse involving a fake bomb. Using a portable television covered with a blanket, they claimed it was an improvised explosive device planted by another inmate. The escapees contacted the front gate using the control room's intercom system, posing as correctional officers and reporting the bomb. Their deception worked. The guards at the gate, unprepared for such a scenario, allowed the inmates, disguised in stolen guard uniforms and riot helmets, to transport the fake bomb out of the prison. They loaded the object into a waiting prison van and drove out of the facility at 10:47 p.m., passing through multiple checkpoints without suspicion. The realization that 6 death row inmates had escaped caused panic across Virginia and beyond. Authorities launched an extensive manhunt involving local police, state troopers, and the FBI. The public was warned that these men were highly dangerous and capable of committing further violence. After leaving Mecklenburg, the group traveled south into North Carolina. They soon decided to split up to reduce the chances of being caught together. Clanton and Peterson were the first to be apprehended, captured on June 1st in Warrenton, North Carolina. They were spotted at a laundromat, still wearing parts of their stolen guard uniforms. Tuggle and Jones stole a pickup truck and headed north. Tuggle was caught on June 8th in Vermont after robbing a souvenir shop, while Jones surrendered near the Canadian border on June 9th after contacting his mother. Linwood and James Briley evaded capture for nearly 3 weeks. They reached Philadelphia, where an uncle provided them with shelter and arranged jobs at a garage. Their freedom ended on June 19th, when the FBI traced a phone call to their location and arrested them. The escape from Mecklenburg exposed severe flaws in the prison's security protocols. An investigation revealed that guards had become complacent, failing to follow basic procedures. Communication between shifts was disorganized, creating opportunities for inmates to exploit gaps in oversight. Training and emergency preparedness were inadequate. Virginia's Department of Corrections implemented sweeping reforms, including stricter protocols for securing control rooms, enhanced guard training, and improved surveillance systems. The 6 men were quickly returned to death row, and their executions proceeded as scheduled. Linwood Briley, executed by electrocution on October 12, 1984. James Briley, executed by electrocution on April 18, 1985. Earl Clanton, executed by electrocution on April 14, 1988. Derek Peterson, executed by electrocution on August 22, 1991. Willie Jones, executed by electrocution on September 11, 1992. Lem Tuggle, executed by lethal injection on December 12, 1996. The Mecklenburg escape remains one of the most infamous prison breakouts in U.S. history. Its audacity, the notoriety of the escapees, and the subsequent manhunt have made it a case studied by criminal justice experts and prison administrators. Key lessons from the incident include the importance of strict adherence to security protocols, the need for ongoing training and vigilance among correctional staff, the ingenuity and determination of inmates, particularly those with little to lose. The story of the Mecklenburg escape serves as both a cautionary tale and a chilling reminder of the lengths to which desperate individuals will go to reclaim their freedom.